Best way to learn something is by talking to someone who's already done that thing before instead of reading it off of a textbook. See, some time ago, Scalar School of Business reached out to me asking if I could make a dedicated video for them. Now, I'm going to be honest, I get reached out by plenty of these schools, and my answer is almost always a no for this because of three main reasons. Number one, a dedicated video feels like an ad, and nobody really likes an ad. I mean, my last reel is a living example of that.
Woke up to the morning sky first.
Number two, personally, it becomes hard to kind of recommend something when you've not been a part of it. I don't know what life at Scalar really feels like. And number three, as a creator, it becomes difficult to walk the line where you're honest and real, while at the same time you're doing justice to the brand for the collaboration. So because of these three reasons, I usually never do this. But the team at Scalar was very receptive, and they said you should actually come to the campus, spend some time with our students, get to know what life really is, and then make a Vaibhanshu video on it. And I said yes. And looking back, now that I'm at the editing phase of this video, I feel I made the right call. Because through Scalar, I got the chance to talk to the co-founder of Slikk, which is a startup that is delivering fashion to your doorstep in minutes. I also got a chance to talk to the CMO of Practo, understand what problem statements they're currently working on and what life at Practo looks like, and a lot more. Talking to students at Scalar was perhaps the best part because understanding their life kind of pushed me back to my own MBA days as well. All of this and more in the video. Let's cue the intro. My day at Scalar started with me going to their campus, which was actually less of a campus and more of a standalone building in Electronic City in Bangalore. But don't get me wrong, the facilities were at par with a top B school. I found the infra to be quite nice. I also like the fact that they have innovation labs, which are these places that a bunch of startups are actually actively working that students can go and interact right outside their classrooms. But the lack of a dedicated ground and a bigger space for students is something I feel like that they will work on going forward as they expand. The highlight for me for the first half of the day was definitely co-judging a case competition alongside Slikk co-founder Akshay Gulati and Vidit Jain, who's leading SSB. Fun fact, Vidit actually worked in McKinsey before joining SSB, so he had something common to talk about. And as for the case competition, it was essentially a market entry case for the home care segment for Slikk, which is something that they're actually actively evaluating. This case competition was open to students from other colleges as well, so there was a mixed bag of presentations that I came across. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the actual recommendations or what the case was really like, but I'm going to share the snippets of my conversation with Akshay after the competition was over, trying to understand how his journey has been. And it's a testament to the kind of exposure students at Scalar also get. So here's that conversation. What made you start Slikk? Like, what was the inspiration and what was the realization that this is something that I want to go all in and go for it?
I mean, see, in terms of building a startup, I think I always wanted to build a consumer company. I think the good thing that Bangalore did to me while doing engineering here was expose me to an insane amount of startups being built out. And I started my journey in 2014 and graduated in 2018. I think I've seen the golden era of Indian startups where Flipkart, Swiggy, Ola, all of them were being built out. And I think, and I would just be amazed by the kind of your story articles that come. I'd be like, what sort of flamboyance? This is crazy, right? And I think I started building my own pitch decks, working on, in fact, my favorite pastime in my third and fourth year was building pitch decks and just sending it out on LinkedIn to random people, and like 99.9% of them wouldn't respond to it. But that became like a hobby. And so from being like a guy who just loved the word startups, I think I built this inner kida of wanting to build a consumer company. Always wanted to build a consumer company. I think post Amazon, I had a little bit of comfort financially to sort of take that risk. And because I'd worked in the e-commerce space, in the retail space for quite some time, I think my brain worked that way. And my core insight was that India always has seen vertical businesses being built up against horizontal businesses. For example, if you talk about modern trade in general, you'd always have a Pantaloons and a Shoppers Stop and a Lifestyle right next to a big bazaar, right, in a mall. When the e-commerce, when e-commerce started in India, a Myntra and an Ajio and a Nykaa was also born against Amazon, Flipkart. In fact, interestingly, Amazon Fashion, for that matter, was one of the largest online players for fashion. in US, but if you look at it from an Indian standpoint, supply chain is so complex, the user behavior is so complex that vertical businesses are needed for complex supply chain systems, which is why for BPC, Nykaa happened, which is why for fashion, folks like Myntra and Jabong started the journey, and then Ajio joined, and now Nykaa also has a fashion vertical and a lot more marketplaces around it, right? I think that was my thought as well, that I think the way Zepto, Blinkit, Instamart are really scaling up, they'll eventually turn into horizontal players. But fashion and lifestyle as a vertical is super aspirational, and the supply chain is super complex. Users are getting used to quick. This is one space that would need quick as well. And I think that's where I took a punt. And I was like, I didn't know F of fashion. I खुद ही यार black or white पहनता हूँ. But I think that's where I wanted to take a bet. And all I knew was कपड़े जल्दी deliver करने हैं. So we begged like 10-15 brands. Actually, we begged like 100 brands. Out of that, 10-15 brands was super nice enough to take like a punt on me. They were like, le yaar rakh 100 kapde, page. And I think that's how my journey started off. So I think I just started that way, and I think it's all behind now. We've more than 700 brands on the platform.
Amazing.
We've scaled to 50x in 12 months. We've raised money from the best of the VCs in India. So I think life's been wonderful that way to us.
After talking to Akshay, I then went around and started speaking to a bunch of Scaler students, trying to understand what they do on a day-to-day basis, what are they occupied with. And I got to learn that as part of their curriculum, they're actually supposed to build out a D2C brand as part of a challenge in 12 weeks. So I was just talking to Vidit before you guys, and he was talking about your brand when I was speaking about some of the cool things that people at SSB are building. He said Hummus Sapiens, that's what it's called.
It's Hummus Sapiens. A person who was in Dubai for almost 17 years of my life.
Is that the Mallu Dubai connection?
Yeah, Mallu Dubai connection. So the problem is like when I came from India, when I came from UAE, and I saw that most of the food products in India, if you clearly look at the label side, you can see that there is so many artificial flavors, ingredients which are named as INS, stabilizers and all those things. So I think that people of India must not go into that type of food items. They must consume real clean food that is good for their gut. So hummus as a product is good. It is good in proteins. So if you consume 100 grams of hummus, you get almost 8 grams of protein.
To summarize, essentially, it's healthy hummus, which is kind of developed by a former doctor who really loves and enjoys cooking. The other is the startup called Greedo, which really focuses on healthy living, and they're kind of very peculiar in terms of how they source their ingredients and what goes into every single dish of theirs. So you're saying we also deliver to Zomato and Swiggy, and we also want to do a vending machine play.
Right.
That's
So both of that.
vertical.
I think it's
Okay.
one of the very few companies in India who are doing it.
Idea is simple: making healthy food as easily accessible as buying a soda at
Okay.
a junkie.
I see.
This was the concept.
Now we're moving towards the later part of the day. And the highlight here was another case competition, this time getting presented to the CMO of Practo. There were 3 teams that were shortlisted from SSB who got a chance to present to the CMO. And the case here, briefly put, I mean, the brief was several pages long, but if I were to summarize, it's essentially a growth piece, kind of focusing on the levers Practo can pull to increase their GOV. And at the end, I thought it's a good idea to kind of actually get his opinion on what he thinks about Scaler and what they're doing here. And now that you see new age business schools like Scaler come up, what are your thoughts on it, given your experience with the students and given your experience in the industry?
Absolutely great. It couldn't be, it needs to be exactly this. It cannot be anything other than this going forward, right? Like if you go and ask any one of us who have spent 2-3 decades or graduated 2-3 decades back, we perhaps use 5% of the knowledge that we gained in the B schools or in engineering colleges, right? The opportunity to work on a live project, like for instance, this project that we just discussed is not a project that has happened 6 months back or will happen 1 year later. It's a live project. These are things that we discuss, we present to board, we debate, we deliberate upon, right? And the opportunity to get live projects, interact with industry leaders from different domains, different kind of problems is exactly what people graduating these days need, because that's what they will use going forward, right? So bang on. I think this is brilliant, and in fact I would love to continue to engage. Right?
Alright, if you've made it this far, now we're coming towards the very end of this video. The question that you might be having for me is, well, Vibhanshu, this is all good and game, but what do you really feel about the institute and who do you think it's really for? Now, when it comes to actually selecting a college, Indian education has always been focused on ROI and the brand value, and inevitably a lot of the comments will kind of shift towards whether someone will take this over ABC, etc. And I feel like that's not the right question to ask. India is such a massive country, and the problem of lack of premium business education is quite real. Even after all these top IIMs, there are plenty of students who are very worthy of business education and who still don't have access to top business education, right? And a lot of you know that that's kind of what I also want to do through Dhanda School. But with business, there are a lot of components which are probably best done in person. And to see Scalar do this in their own way, talking to industry leaders, having them come over and have sessions, case competitions, asking students to actually build, helping them along the way, this is quite refreshing. So that's what my take is. My take is it's a good institute which is being run well. Bye.